Upon Tu's arrival, the 24 or so men who were gambling began to make their predictions. Old Faithful was a big rooster, abnormally tall, just like Tu. Tonight there would be only a duel between Faithful and the resident champ, whatever its name was again. It too was big, but more stocky than lanky. It puffed out its auburn chest feathers like an American chicken on steroids. It would certainly end Old Faithful's life, a task Tu couldn't find himself completing with his own hands. After leaving the rooster with the ringmaster, Tu headed into the bar for a weekly beer. His favorite seat by the window, from where he could see the alleyway scene, was open. August and Francis, his younger friends of mixed descent, were from church, gestured for Tu to sit there. "Take me a seat," Tu said. "You don't have any money on my old cop, do you?" He cracked open the warm Budweiser and poured it onto a glass of ice. "I'm not stupid," said August. No, Francis said to August. "You don't know what you're doing." He patted Tu's shoulder. "This is God's piano man. Even he doesn't think the old bird's going to win. Why would you bet on my rooster when I brought it here for slaughter? You know better. Come on, Tu, it's your Old Faithful." Tu himself bet on the resident champ, although he would only win 80% of his bet, which wasn't a bad price for a minus 120 compared to the usual minus 150 or worse. Apparently some people were betting on Old Faithful, either for its name or its height, enhanced by its mature plume. "I'll miss that funny-looking fellow." "Then pray it won't die," said Francis. Tu laughed. "No, his meat is what I'm bringing to the table tonight." The match began as ceremoniously as a cockfight in an alleyway could get. Most men were Vietnamese, but a couple of American soldiers in plain clothes watched as well. Air flowing into the open window carried the scent of testosterone and beer, excreted through their sweat. The champ advanced to attack the intruder. It pecked at Faithful's neck and wings persistently. Old Faithful wasn't a fighter. The only other males it had ever met were its offspring. As soon as a rooster grew big enough to challenge Faithful, Tu used it for lemongrass barbecue, so Faithful hadn't known any predators or threats. It probably expected the champ, that pest, to magically disappear. Nevertheless, after the champ continued its pecking, Faithful took over and advanced past the younger rooster. Faithful kicked his ancient skank of a talon into the champ's thigh. The champ started limping. Tu was impressed. Francis, enticed by his chance, stuck his head out the window. Both of the roosters must have forgotten what they were doing. Faithful paused, then it cocked its head like it was confused. The champ inched closer and swung its feet straight into Faithful's eye. The crowd roared with shouts of amazement, relief, and defeat. Tu sat peacefully sipping his watered-down beer. The drink neither hydrated nor intoxicated him, yet the cold sensation refreshed him from the inside out, even with the horrific image of Faithful's bleeding eye and the voices of outraged men. The bird was still alive, twitching its head more than ever. The champ lost interest. Neither moved. The crowd gradually hushed. They waited for one to move. As the resident champ tried to walk, it fell over and cawed. Twice as loud now, the shouts excited Faithful, who took a victory lap. Tu playfully tapped Francis's cheek. "You deceived me with your prayers. You're the one who was so attached you couldn't slit its throat. You've been talking about this for weeks. I know I asked before, but why this animal? How many dogs have you had?" "Hey, don't be such a downer," said August. "Why don't you get us a beer with your new money instead?" "Only so you can drink your humility. In for another two?" "No thanks," said Tu. "Leanne wants to make some chicken soup. I should better go. See you two next week." Outside, where Tu would have to retrieve his winnings and Faithful, fine with one eye, 3 local hookers surrounded the 2 American men. One of the American men squatted, pretending to wrap his arm around the rooster while the other man took their picture. It was the end of an era for Tu's household. A young, healthy rooster, yet to be named, was probably already pecking the hens. The 3 girls were around Lotus's age, exactly why he didn't want his daughter around here. The unconfident, chubby hooker was the 5th wheel, obviously seeking someone's attention. Tu tried to ignore her as he retrieved Old Faithful. "That's one hell of a fighter," she said. "Not really," said Tu. He knew Francis would be watching, eager to see God's piano man sin, especially in a public place. He's so old, he must have been blind anyway, right? He tied Old Faithful's feet, walked home where the bleeding creature hung upside down from his hand. The dripping blood left a stain on the path, but no one minded it. Oh, how helpless the girl was, Tu thought. Could she not see that he didn't have money? How did she expect him to support her? With eggs? Tu didn't find hookers attractive. First off, the comparison to his daughter, the possibility of her becoming one, scared him limp. Two also wouldn't put his long-standing religious reputation under jeopardy. Of course, he loved looking at schoolgirls, real girls. He could always go home with one in his mind. Let's end right there. Thank you.